of a global pandemic, COVID-19. And to discuss that point, we've got somebody who's been an outspoken personality on the subject, not only of at this time, but about the whole electoral process and this whole theme of good governance. He's right here live in the studio after making a long trek from where he was all these days. By special invitation, he's right here, Mr. Maitri Gunaratne. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Faraz.
That is the question. There is growing concern about the need, or of the need, to have elections in the throes of COVID-19, a global pandemic.
Faraz, firstly, I must say this is not a proper time to have an election, and the government needs to seriously reconsider in recalling Parliament, because firstly, what is happening is people are now getting more and more impatient with these total shutdowns which are taking place, and the food distribution and the income for the people in the provinces are at a very, very low level. What we must understand, from maybe the 19th of last month, it has been a complete shutdown, and there is about 2.5 million people or 2.5 million families which are existing on day-to-day employment. Now those are the people who have been worst affected. So under these conditions, I do not think in any way the government should go for an election. And anyway, when this whole COVID-19 thing started, as far back as maybe December 2019, the government was aware of it, that this was coming. The World Health Organization had very clearly said that this is going to be a global pandemic, and therefore you have to get ready. The government, notwithstanding all that, knowing that this was going to come, dissolved Parliament and was hell-bent on going in for an election. We must thank the Elections Commission at this time for having postponed this election. Otherwise, the government would have insisted that we went ahead with the election with this COVID-19 issue in hand. So therefore, it is not conducive to hold an election. People are not in a framework to go and vote.
Yeah.
It will be ridiculous to have an election with maybe 30 or 40% voting. So therefore, it is not conducive to have an election. The President should recall Parliament and sort out this issue. Now, I have heard in the media, some of the government MPs are coming and saying, and some of the clergy are coming and saying, recalling of Parliament is going to be a waste of money. But I am 100% sure if the President makes an appeal from all these members of Parliament, I mean, not to draw their salaries, but to come and represent the people for these 6 months, they will be too happy to do it. But we need to recall Parliament. We need to get the sentiments from the provinces. And the other thing is, for us today, there is the freedom of speech is being limited. People, if you moment you say something against the government is threatening. Then the social media people are being arrested. So where are we heading? Where are we heading now? My personal opinion is, we are very, very slowly but gradually heading towards a dictatorship. So therefore, if the President is going to defend the Constitution, as he has sworn when he became President, to uphold and defend the Constitution of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, then according to the Constitution, he should recall Parliament, because the the Elections Commission has very clearly said that they cannot hold the election before the 1st of June. They cannot conclude the election. So if they cannot conclude the election, then you recall it, because there is no harm, because Parliament still has a life for about another 4 months to 5 months till August. So they can recall Parliament, sort this problem out, and then thereafter, after August, they can go to election.
What is the practical use of recalling Parliament?
No, for us now, in and around Colombo, people seem to think that things are tickety-boo. Things are, people are very happy and all that.
Because by hook or by crook, they're getting their food.
And there are these sophisticated ways of, ordering things by WhatsApp and for social media and all that. But in the provinces for us, I mean, there are people who, go in the morning, find employment, they get 1,000 rupees, 1,500 rupees, and that's their expenses for maybe 2 days, because they don't have employment sometimes for 30 days. They work maybe 10 days, 15 days. So moment a thing like this comes, they have no chance of a snowball in hell. So those people are slowly coming to the brink of starvation. And mind you, for us, there is no rain. So people, that they cannot go back to farming right now, because in those areas, water distribution is also now becoming an issue. There are water cuts. There is no water. The streams are running dry. I was on a plantation, and the superintendent of that estate was telling me, we are, for the month of March, they were about 100 millimeters short of rain as compared to last year. So we are also in a drought condition. So with all this, I think the government must recall Parliament, because for us, if ultimately in a democratic country, and a democratic country is governed by the Constitution,
right?
And if they don't adhere to the Constitution, then what is happening is we are slowly drifting away from the democratic principles. And I know there are some Buddhist clergy, senior Buddhist clergy, who are coming and saying disregard the Constitution. I mean, it is like telling the Buddhist priest to disregard the Tripitaka, the teachings of the Buddha. You cannot do that. In a democratic country, you have to go by the Constitution. I mean, whether the parliamentarians are good or bad is a different thing. That those are members elected by the people, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
There is no choice. They are the elected representatives of the people. So the elected representatives of the people must have their place to come and voice their concerns. That is the main purpose of a democracy. So what the president is trying to do is undemocratic.
What practical difference will it be if Parliament is recalled? Will the people be able to get their essential items? Will they get their medicines?
No, for us,
right?
no.
I'm not talking about the Colombo, the sort of urban areas.
No, for us, for instance, for rural areas. Now, for instance, yesterday, when I was in Badulla, there was a patient who came and said there is a huge shortage of insulin in the government hospital.
Yes, we know that. That's true.
Yeah. So now these are things. If Parliament was in session now, if the members of Parliament, there is a forum.
Yeah.
Because for us now, if you say something against the government, it is perceived as you're anti-government, or you're against this whole system. I mean, is that the norm of a democracy?
Isn't it time now? Isn't it now the time for non-partisan governance to put aside political ideologies and various political agendas, and to deliver on the basis of this, and that is one Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka first.
Faraz, you're spot on. But who is making this partisan? Who are the people who are promoting it? Now, for instance, if you take Satosa is printing various packing material with the Pohottual emblem on it for distribution. No. Where is this non-partisan? It has to come from the top.
Yeah.
The president must set the example.
Yeah.
The president must call the Satosa chairman or fire the Satosa chairman. I mean, what are they doing? Are they trying to play politics when people all around the world are dying? The world is rallying around. Everyone is rallying around.
Of course, they'll tell you that legally they're not doing that, because it's merely, they'll say that it's merely a logo of some flower bud.
No, for us, whom are they trying to con?
Exactly.
I mean, they're conning themselves, and they think the people are mutts.
Yeah.
When they print it, and when politicians or members of their party are openly distributing it, I mean, is that the example they want to set? And what they're trying to do is they are trying to do all the illegal things under the sun, and they're trying to tell other people, no, you all must come and support us. That doesn't happen that way for us. It doesn't happen that way, because I mean, hunger does not only come to people who belong to the ruling party. It also comes to other people. Need for health comes to everyone. Corona is hitting everyone irrespective of party politics. But the government is trying to deal with this situation by only trying to help their people. So this is, I think, despicable conduct of the government.
But isn't it also time to make use of the different strengths? The United National Party, including its new branches and everyone else, just the UNP. The UNP have a historical strength amongst the Western world. The current government, the Prajapaksas, have a long-standing and sort of undeniable strength with China. The United National Party have always had an excellent relationship with India. And so if you put it all together, then this whole business of delivering the notion, Sri Lanka first, Sri Lanka is the #1 priority, isn't that easier to achieve if everybody was together working towards getting it right? This is astonishing, is it not, that since 1948, which is when we got independence, that Sri Lanka is still unable to take care of its own food security. In the pursuit of all sorts of la-di-la things, they have forgotten about the agriculture sector in this country. Somebody had a dream, and they withdrew glyphosate from the use in Sri Lanka. The tea industry went down that way. I'm just giving you an example that's quickly coming to my mind. Things like that is how this country was being governed, basically because somebody had a dream or somebody had a ulterior motive.
A cockeyed dream.
Or a cockeyed dream.
A cockeyed
right?
dream.
A daydream. And somebody else decided long time ago in 1983 that one group mustn't be allowed to raise its head. Our group, the Maharaja group, was burnt to the ground. This has all happened inside this so-called independence.
73 of it.
Let's leave it all
behind
and go forward. So, is it not time to all come together?
Faraz, when you say we can get the UNP and the branches can get the support from the Western world, and the others can get it from India and China and all that, I think for us, our situation in Sri Lanka, comparing it to the Western world, we are in a very much better position with regard to the control of the disease. And I think that we must thank the medical staff and the military for having been able to do it. Now, again, when you come to the spread of the disease, the government very well knew that this was coming, and they brought in a few plane loads of people without subjecting them to quarantine.
Yeah.
This is what has caused this problem to blow up to at least this extent. But having done that, I feel that now they are trying to somehow control it. With regard to Faraz, the food security, we have dismantled all establishments which enable the country to have food security. And that is why today the farmer has produced, the farmer cannot sell. The consumer needs, the consumer cannot buy. Why? Because we have completely destroyed that network. Now for us in this country, there was a fantastic cooperative system. There is you won't believe it, there are cooperatives in almost every village, a cooperative society. Now all the government or all anyone had to do was to have a computer system where each cooperative will be able to sense what is being produced in those areas, and they put it onto their computer screen, which will reflect in every other computer in the system. Now we'll say Dambulla is producing 1 million kilos of pumpkin. Now that's an excess there. So when you punch in the 1 million kilos of pumpkin there, it is reflected in all computers, we'll say in Gaul, in Badulla, in all areas. So what you do is...
What you're looking for is the word is network. Your children tell you the word.
No. Yeah. No, I'm trying to explain it.
Yes, it's linked.
It's all linked.
Yeah.
So then for us, what you need, then what you need is you call that respective cooperative society or that society and say, okay, my requirement is 5,000 kilos.
Yeah.
So then you start networking the whole thing.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, even a simple thing like this. Now the cooperative, there's a ministry for cooperatives.
Yeah. There
are ministers who have sat on this. Now all these people, they have failed to develop the cooperative system in this country. That is a tried and tested system. If that system it is still not too late. Even now for us, it can be activated because it's all live and kicking. They have the best properties all over the country. All prime properties in rural areas do belong to the cooperative system. So they have got the staff, they have got the vehicles, they have got all the infrastructure.
But it'll only work, I'm sorry to be pessimistic, but it'll only work if those people, those ministers and those officials can see where they can make a quick buck for themselves.
Yes, that's why all systems have failed in this country for us. It is all,
because if you can point out a little gundu for them, then it'll work.
No, the point is for us, now for instance, I'm giving you a very good example. The train service in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
All fuel was transported by train in the good old days. And it still can be done.
Yeah.
Our train services, if we use it for cargo facilities, we can still make it profitable. I feel we can use the train services and give the people free travel if we use it for cargo purposes, transporting of all goods. Now when a minister transports the fuel by train, he doesn't make any money. So what he needs to do is he needs to get it out of the railways and give it to private contractors to transport it. So what happens? We get down enormous amount of bouncers. Those bouncers are hugging these roads which have been built 200 years ago. The roads are narrow, you cannot overtake. So the problems you are causing by this kind of irresponsible conduct and behavior, the repercussions are tremendous. When we can use the train service for, I'm just only giving you one example.
Yeah.
The train service for transport of fuel, we are not using it, we are putting bouncers onto the road and causing a traffic jam. You do travel in this country, and if you are going to Kandy and if you meet 5 or 10 bouncers on the way, your trip is going to get delayed by another 45 minutes to 1 hour, because they just don't follow road rules, they just don't allow anyone to overtake them and things like that. And the other thing is for us, if you take the train services, if you take the railways, or the British have built beautiful warehouses, because the British used the railways to transport tea, to transport rubber, and all the produce they were making in this country. So the rail services for us came right up to the harbour. And if you go to Kalania, if you go to Paliagoda, the warehouses in those areas, all those warehouses have rail tracks where rail carriages are sent to those places. So there was a beautiful system in this country. What our people have done during the last 72 or 73 years, they have dismantled everything. They have dismantled, they have ruined it. Even the plantations, you were talking about the plantations. For us, plantations, if you take 10 factories in the plantations, 8 factories are closed. And what do they say? We don't have enough leaf. What has happened is, when the British made or planted the estate, it had 2,000 acres. Now what has happened is the 2000 has shrunk to about 400 to 500 acres.
Why?
Because bad management. And I feel one thing is bad management, bad agricultural practices. The other thing is they are not replanting. I cannot see, or I hardly see any estate going in for replanting. So these are
but that's because they decided to nationalize all these things. Then they decided to give it back, but in a very limited way. Why should a regional plantation company replant and make investments when it takes so many years for it to happen anyway, to become productive, when they've only got a lease?
For us, the lease is for 50 years, or we'll say 30 years, 33 years.
Yeah.
For us, 33 years is a long time.
Yes, but it wasn't given yesterday. It was given many years ago.
But from what I am made to understand is, though according to those leases, according to those agreements, they have agreed to do replanting.
Exactly, but so the government have the golden share. Why don't they exercise that?
Precisely. The ministers who have sat on those seats have completely ignored it. I don't know for what reason. But it has been ignored. And take it from me, Faraz, if this is the going, if it goes this way, I would say our plantation industry in the upcountry, give it another 10 years and say goodbye to that.
But with the sliding value of the rupee, where it is now virtually at the 200 mark, and in fact, if you want to buy forward, then you're going to have to pay that. With the worsening of that, the tea industry is one of these exports. Obviously, all exports are hit, but including the tea industry. And I might as well declare that our group also has an interest in tea. We have a company that exports, manufactures and exports tea. All right. Now, otherwise people will say that I'm talking to them.
We're just drinking.
Well, yes, but my point is that you book forward dollars at 180, and now it's nearly 200.
That's right.
So who's paying for all this? This is very. It appears to be that the fiscal side of things here, and the management side of the money and so on, and the understanding of that is being thought about in a
lopsided manner.
In a lopsided manner.
For us, I mean, as we were talking from the beginning of this program, everything has been mishandled. So has the money been mishandled?
Right.
Now, I think you're coming to the fact that since the dollar is going up, aren't we going to get a better price for tea, and isn't it going to be good?
No, what I'm saying is the other way around. That it has. Yes, it has its plus points for people who want that, but internationally it's not in rupees. We're paying in dollars.
Precisely.
And we need.
No, for us, what is happening is, now you take the pepper industry in Sri Lanka, you take the tea industry in Sri Lanka, you take the areca nut industry in Sri Lanka. Now all this, they are allowing foreign pepper, foreign tea to be bought into the country, and what they are doing is they are mixing it up, or they call it blending it, and they're sending it as Ceylon tea. Now one thing is this: without the use of Ceylon tea, they cannot get the proper flavor from teas which are produced from other countries.
Indeed.
So basically, I can't understand why we are not selling our tea as a single origin tea. We should, for us, like you get the malt whiskies now. You get the single malt whiskey.
Yeah.
Now that gets a premium price.
Yeah.
I mean, if a
normal Sri Lanka tea then.
And we have got estates, we have got regions in Sri Lanka. You take the Uva region, the Uva teas during a certain season flavors the best. So now those teas can be sold as a single origin tea, and that price, I mean, you'll be able to get 1,500, 2,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees a kilo of tea, because the tea is so good. So there is no thinking. There is no. We are still doing what the Britishers did, but all over the world it is changing. It is changing, and for a few brands, for a brief few brands, people who have gone out and branded Sri Lankan tea, we are still in the market. If not for them, for us, we are dead. The Sri Lankan tea industry is dead.
Indeed, if it's not, it is seriously impacted, at least anyway, for the moment.
For the moment.
Now, here's a good question coming from the public. And of course, you can send us your questions to Newsline Live on by SMS 0772 300 305. And Newsline Live this morning is going on for its full term, because the conversation is quite interesting.
Thank you.
The questions are starting now, and here we go. The new system to procure vegetables through the divisional secretaries, do you think this will work practically?
I think that's a good. I mean that is one way we can do that. I mean the divisional secretary can be the person who will source it. If there is a station close by,
yeah,
it can be sourced to that station, and by using the rail network, we can deliver it to the various places. I think that's very good. That's a good idea. That's what should be done, but that is not happening.
Right. I'm going to have to read this message, because if I don't, I'll be accused. But I hope that it doesn't happen. Please try to have Newsline on Saturday mornings as well. We need your inspiration in these trying times. Thank you. There goes my day off. Right, now then, let's get a bit more serious. Sir, we have the most advanced and most expensive parliament structure, but used only for thuggery, but not for the people. The British and Singapore parliaments are very simple. It goes on, but we've got the point.
Yeah.
What do you say?
No, I say that, I mean, those parliaments for us have been built maybe 200-300 or 400-500 years ago.
Yeah.
Our parliament, this parliament in Sri Jawadanapur was built in maybe
Yes,
in the
but
80s.
I think what he means is this parliamentary system. But he's complaining that it's being used for thuggery. I think he's meaning when chairs were broken, chili powder with water.
Yeah, for us, what I say is, when it comes to that, it is the voter who has to be blamed to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because they are the people who send these thugs, undesirables, to parliament. So when you send people of that nature, what do you expect? You can't expect good behavior when you send hooligans. So the voter also has a specific responsibility. When he is electing or when he is voting for someone as a member or to represent him, to make a proper choice.
The yields of the regional plantation companies, RPCs, has gone down by 45% in the 28 years since they took over, due to glaring lack of oversight by the golden shareholder, the government of Sri Lanka. This is not my figures, this is somebody sending this. Do you agree with that?
They cannot say, though, the golden shareholder has given the golden stake to the RPCs, the regional plantation companies.
Yeah.
It is the regional plantation companies who have to run it in a profitable manner.
But if they're not, why are they allowed to carry on?
That is the question I'm also asking.
They should be taken away from them.
They can cancel the agreement, take it away, and they can either run it or give it to some other company.
And some of these companies haven't paid their contributions or the monies that they've collected from these workers in terms of the gratuity, the EPF payments.
No, I'm telling, for us, leave that aside.
It's 1.2 billion for one
on the
company.
6th of this month. On the 6th of this month, I was doing a walk in Badulla, and I went to a certain point and I turned back. A estate in Badulla. I don't want to mention the name.
No.
There were the workers all seated out, seemed to be a bit restless. I spoke to them. Since I know Tamil, I spoke to them in Tamil.
Yeah.
And then they told me that their salaries have not been paid. And today there is no curfew, so they have to get their stuff. So I felt, I mean, this is not fair.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to the superintendent of this estate. I got the number. There was the supervisor there. I got his number, spoke to him.
Yeah.
And he said, we are paying it by 10:30.
Right.
We are paying it by 10:30.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, fine. I told them that by 10:30 it will come. Then they told me, sir, 10:30 if it comes, I mean, we have to go to the town. It takes a long time. There are no buses to go. People are coming back, all that. Anyway, for us, I got my people to check.
Yeah.
They had not paid the money till even 2:30. So
But why? What was the problem?
It's, I feel for us, I feel there is no
Companies are also
commitment.
But the companies are also struggling.
For us,
But you must first get the salaries right.
For us, you have to look after or seem to be looking after your people properly.
I think it's better the first one, that you are looking.
Are looking at,
Yeah.
no, because for us now, when they have a break, or there is this curfew for 4-5 days,
Yeah.
and when they get the break for us, they must plan ahead, because all plantation companies are entitled to curfew passes, but they can liaise with their banks and get the money before. So what I'm saying is, for us, when they act in a manner like this, the commitment which is coming from the labor force is also reduced. I'm not talking about all plantation companies, but this is a particular plantation company. So this type of conduct is not strengthening the plantations. This is not giving the worker a sense of feeling of giving full commitment to the estate. So I feel they also need to get their act together.
But why is it that successive governments appear to have, they grab everything for themselves, right? And then they basically mess it all up. But why haven't the successive governments, I'm not being political here, successive governments, why have they not used the distribution facilities of various local corporates, like Elephant House, like Hemas, Maharajas, Softlogic, St. Anthony's, just to name a few. These are well-managed companies, professionally managed companies, and they know what they're doing, right? So why is it that even now they're struggling with the distribution of
no, for
the
us,
medicines to the people,
there
the
is no
foodstuff
need.
to the
There is
people?
no need for the government to go to all the companies you mentioned.
Yeah.
The government has the cooperative system. The cooperative
Clearly
system.
it's not, they're not.
No, what I'm saying is, for
that's
us,
politicized, but
they have
corporates are not.
No, for us, I'm telling you, if the cooperative systems are run well, the food cities will have to close down. They'll have to close down.
But they employ thousands of people.
They do, but then those people can find employments in cooperatives in their villages, rather than coming to Colombo or into
Why
the
is there a need for government to be in business?
No, this is for us. The cooperative system is not that the government is being in business. It is a system where the people have got together, organized themselves into a cooperative society, and they are administering their village, and they are getting the best possible prices for their foodstuffs, for the purpose of distributing it among themselves.
Yeah.
The respective governments have demolished it. And I'm telling this with responsibility for us, the UNP.
But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that these companies, the names I mentioned,
Yes.
and we don't normally mention corporates, but anyway, this morning I've done that. These corporates, they manage their businesses rather well. It's professionally managed, and at the end of the day, the people, including the farmers, for example, they will receive a better return if the corporates were left to do this thing. Because this government business, it is forever and a day, it is politicized.
That's right. No, I agree with that.
It is
I agree.
partisan. Even now, even this Samudri business, even that was partisan.
No, correct. No, although I agree with you partially for us, but I believe.
You had a case in the cooperative system, now that I remember it, some minister, he took stuff out of the cooperative system for his political whatever, and didn't pay for it at the time, and when some lone voice raised its head, then they quickly paid the bill, settled it.
Right, that's right.
You know? So what about if it was in a corporate thing, they would have forced him to pay for the cost of funds for all that time. Cost of funds is being ignored, and little by little, the money is being squirreled through the fingers.
No,
it's like a great big sieve.
No, I agree with what you're saying there. No, but notwithstanding that, for us, what I'm saying is this system. Now, for instance, why I say the cooperative system should be activated and encouraged. now if you take any cooperative for us, or most of the cooperatives, I would say 80% of the cooperative societies, you know, Faraz, their savings run up to a couple of, sometimes almost ₹1 billion, almost ₹1 billion. And having that saving, what they are doing is they have put it into another state bank or another bank. They are getting interest, they are resting on their laurels. So now, as a result of that, private banks have gone into the villages and they are lending at 30 to 40% interest per month or per year. So if the cooperatives were activated and the cooperatives were allowed to give their money out, they lend at 12%.
But the People's Bank was set up for precisely this thing.
For this purpose.
What did they do?
No, they are gone to sleep.
No,
they are gone to sleep.
They're lending money and facilities to friends and family.
Precisely, and not to the rural folk of this country. The cooperative society, for us, if it is properly used.
With Government, I remember going to a village beyond Anuradhapura, and one of a guest who comes on here pointed out to me that this was the very area that a thing like the People's Bank would be able to work for the upliftment of the agriculture in that area. But this is not happening.
No, the People's Bank, Bank of Ceylon, rule them out. Rule them out. I mean, the banking sector will give you an umbrella, or take away, will give you umbrella when there is the sun, and take it away when it rains. That's the philosophy of the bank.
But that was not the philosophy when the People's Bank was set up all those years.
The People's Bank was, for us, was a further step, or a step to strengthen the cooperative movement. All the monies from the cooperatives were put into the People's Bank.
Yeah.
And it was like the commercial arm of the cooperative system. But they forgot about their intention and their purpose. What I'm saying is, for us, the cooperative movement in this country has a hell of a lot of scope, and I will show you, I can take and show you cooperatives which have been run better than these private sector companies.
The government institutions are damaged because the employees are the henchmen of the ruling party.
I agree. That is, not only the employees, the chairman, the people whom they appoint, there is no process, there is no qualifications. Then over and above that, the minister who is appointed to sometimes handle a ministry, he doesn't know, he has no idea as to what he should do. He is not interested to learn, he doesn't want to learn, he doesn't want to show he does not know. So that is the reason for the breakdown.
This is a real current question, and I thank you for sending it. I would like to ask your guest this. I know the Constitution is very important, but under these circumstances, when everything is postponed and delayed, isn't there a possibility for us to delay the election to safeguard the health of the nation? I totally agree with him on the cooperative system. We must revive to avoid starvation. But the other bit about postponing elections.
No, I agree. That's precisely what I have been telling you at the start of the show, that we should recall Parliament and go ahead with this till August.
Many of the questions are coming in about this cooperative thing. You know, somebody's saying the cooperative system is corrupt, which is what we've been saying here. But for example, look at how, you said it yourself, look at how corrupt Sartosa is.
For us, the simple reason is that from the minister, when the minister is corrupt, when the minister is there to make money, then what do you expect of the others? What do you expect of the others? If the minister is robbing big time, now the issue is, for us, they place, we will say 1 million tons of rice, 1 million tons of dal. I mean, we'll say at minimum, I mean, this is small change. 1 rupee is 1 million rupees.
Yeah.
So you are ordering 1 million tons of dal, 1 million tons of rice, we'll say a month, you make 2 million rupees. That's if 1 rupee is the commission, but it's certainly not 1 rupee. So what I'm saying is, for us, I mean, this, I don't know whether this is an idealistic situation, but you need people who are honest, who can change this, who can fight against this, and who have studied and who has seen what it can do. In India, for us, India is a success today because of the cooperative system. India, everything is cooperatives, and they are run by normal, ordinary people.
But in India, there is a greater respect for the rule of law.
Okay, fine. So that's what we need to make here in this country for us.
You know.
That's what we need. As we were discussing, 18,000 curfew violators.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the respect the normal citizen have of the law.
What do you think about the letter that the President's Secretary has sent to the Elections Commission?
No, it clearly goes to show that this government does not want to postpone the election. They want to hold the election in the midst of this chaos, in the midst of a pandemic, because they know if they hold the election after August, that the government will not be able to secure power in Parliament.
Here you go. This is another one. We're back again to this cooperative thing. This is a good one, actually. Why don't, well, sorry, part of this was already said, but I'll say it again. Why do successive governments, why have they ignored the local corporates? The big names, I already mentioned them, like Elephant House, Hemmers, Maharajas, Softlogic, St. Anthony's, etc., to professionally manage the cooperatives, not for summa, for free, but for a fee linked to the success.
That's right.
The farmers will benefit
No, definitely.
more.
No, that's a superb suggestion.
And the food security
That's a super
will be
suggestion.
achieved.
No, the point is for us, if you take the cooperative ministry, the cooperative society, the fund the cooperative system has, they can get the best managers in the world, the money they have.
I think that
They
what
can
is
get
needed,
yeah.
don't you, I don't know if you agree, but a suggestion from me is that instead of being the Minister of Cooperative Affairs, it should be the Minister of Cooperative Facilitation, so that he can facilitate. You know, if you can't do a job yourself, you might as well hire
Definitely.
the people who know to do
Precisely,
it.
Faraz.
Why do people come to you and hire you as an attorney? It's because you know what you're doing.
Precisely.
When it comes to that.
No, I agree that I agree with what that gentleman is saying.
Or lady.
Or lady.
Because
or
I've only got numbers here. Now then, you can say this on radio as well, because, you know, the talk of the town is coming up.
I don't think you have any intentions of releasing me.
Joe, we've only got 2 more minutes though. It says here, the cooperative system has been a failure since 1970. If you remember, they were selling rotten dry fish, rotten onions, potatoes, etc. Please forget that system because people want a good life. Thank you. And thank you for the question. Now, this is the level of frustration.
For us, that is the reputation the cooperative society has got, because during the 77 government, the government tried to force all the stuff down the cooperative, and the cooperative fellows were extremely corrupt.
They can give it to they can give the management of the cooperative system to the local corporates for a fixed term, so I don't know, 5 years, right? And they'll shame the public sector, and then the government can decide whether they want to return it to their running it, or whether they want the local corporates to run it. If the local corporates do it, I am almost certain that they will increase employment, increase efficiency, and the bottom line is that the beneficiaries will be, for example, the local agriculture community, the farmers, and also the people.
Faraz, since you brought this up, just give me a minute to answer this question.
Yeah.
Now, when I was governor of both the provinces, Central and Ur, each Grama Sevaka division has about 10 government officials who are in charge of various subjects.
I want to say this to you, because I've just been reminded, when it comes to corporates and the cooperatives and the local corporates, do you remember what happened to you when you were trying to run the Lanka coal? You tried to instill honesty and transparency. What happened?
No, you get thrown out, you get kicked out.
Yes.
You get kicked out. No, so what
And
I'm
he
saying
did it ever so nicely
no,
to you,
no,
because you didn't really chuck you out.
No,
You
for us,
just
but the
appointed
point is,
somebody
for
else.
us, we have to continuously fight to keep this system, keep these systems going, because these are beneficial. These benefit the rural folk of this country. So therefore, that is why you need this, because the big the corporates in Colombo, the big organizations who are having good managers, good CEOs, I mean, they are unable to, you can't hire that type of people there. But I know that if the cooperative system is personally looked at and passionately done, it can be turned into a fantastic organization.
That passion can be fired only by the use of people who know what they're doing, like the local corporates, because they're in this not to go down.
Definitely.
And they want to continue to employ the 3,742 people that our group, for example, employs directly, right? And so on. And there is no place for complacency.
Definitely.
And for resting on some unknown laurel.
Definitely.
Right? Because everyone's focused on what they're doing. And now my producer is focused on finishing the program because it's gone past the time. But Maitri Gunaratne, we do appreciate you coming here.
Thank you very
and
much
for
for
speaking so openly.
Thank you very
and we hope that you pursue this whole notion of Sri Lanka first.
Thank you.
Because,
We'll do that.
Because with COVID-19, we mustn't let anyone feel that they've been left out.
No, definitely.
We do know the difficulties the public are facing in getting their essential items, and I'm not just talking about Colombo. Out in the rural areas, the challenges are greater. And we do know a thing or two about that, thanks to Mr. Daniel and his team at government, traipsing around the country, doing things and delivering things. And on that note, the extended version of Newsline Live has come to an end. So thank you for watching, take care, and be safe over the weekend, and we look forward to joining you again on Monday morning at 7 o'clock. Take care, stay safe, stay distanced, and remember, in this, we are all together as one. One Sri Lanka. God bless.
Thank you, Faraz.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.